Cimoooooooo!
What's going on, guys? It's Cimo. So today we're going to be doing a discussion on the brand new Magistus archetype that's going to be released in the next deck building set, Genesis Impact, that we should be getting towards the end of the year. Now, I always like to look at these archetypes because when we see stuff like Adamantipator and Eldritch coming out of the last deck building set, and then we also have decks like Sky Striker, Necros that we've had in previous ones, clearly these sets are capable of producing very powerful archetypes. We already did a discussion about the Drytron archetype, which was the first one that we saw, so you can check out that video, but today is going to be all about Magistus. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. So first up, look, it's baby Alistair. It's Magistus Grimoire Crowley. It's a level 4 dark spellcaster effect monster, 1800 attack, 1000 defense. You can use each effect among the first, second, and third with this card's name only once per turn. You can send to the graveyard one spellcaster monster that is in your hand or face up on your field, special summon this card from your hand. That already seems pretty good. You can declare one attribute. For the rest of this turn, this card becomes that attribute. That's pretty good for any sort of invoke deck looking to have a modular attribute monster to be able to go into any of their invoked fusions, so that seems pretty nice. And thirdly, you can banish this card from your graveyard, target a Magistus monster you control, equip one Magistus monster that is not level 4 from your graveyard to that target. So a very interesting mechanic that they equip to one another on the field. We'll go ahead and explore this a little bit more as we go through. So next up, this looks like a Witchcrafter card. This is Magistus Vercendrillions. So it's a level 4 light spellcaster effect monster, 800 attack, 800 defense. You can use each effect among the first and second with this card's name only once per turn. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can activate one of these effects. Add one Magistus spell or trap from your deck to your hand, or return one of your banished level 4 lower spellcaster monsters to the graveyard. The second effect reads, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target a Magistus monster you control, equip one Magistus monster that is not level 4 from your graveyard to that target. So this is pretty good. You get to search your deck for all the Magistus spells and traps. We'll get to those towards the end of this video, and being able to have the ability to, again, equip these monsters to one another. We're going to see where this is going very soon. So next up here, we have Magistus Master and Dimian. So it's kind of cool that we're bringing like all these spellcaster archetypes together here. It's a level 4 water spellcaster effect monster, 1300 attack, 1700 defense. You can use each effect among the first and second with this card's name only once per turn. You can target a Magistus monster you control, equip one Magistus monster from your extra deck to that target. So we even have equipping from the extra deck, which is something you really don't see too often. And secondly, you can target one face-up spell you control, destroy it, and if you do, draw one card, then return one card from your hand to the bottom of your deck. So you get a little bit of cycling here. We're going to see if the spell cards have any sort of synergy with this sort of effect, but card cycling is usually never too bad. So now we're going to get into the extra deck monsters here, starting with Magistus Saint Iwas, and I probably butchered the pronunciation on that. It's a level 8 Wind Fiend fusion effect monster. Talk about card types and attributes that never go together. 2000 attack, 2800 defense. It requires a Magistus monster and any spellcaster monster. Simple enough. You can use the first effect with this card's name only once per turn. During the main phase, quick effect, you can target one other face-up monster on the field, equip this card you control to that target. While this card is equipped to an opponent's monster this way, that monster cannot activate its effects. Also, take control of it. This is pretty cool, being able to not only negate the effects of an opponent's monster, but you get to take control of that monster too, and at quick effect speed. It does have to be during the main phase, keep that in mind, but that is a really, really powerful effect. Secondly, a monster equipped with this card gains 1000 attack and defense. So that's where the equipping part comes in. Does have a little bit of bonus there. So being able to steal your opponent's monster, I think that is absurd. You can then use it for anything at that point. There's no restriction on what it is other than the fact that it has to be face up. So you could steal like your opponent's Link monster if it's like a Link 3, use it for a Link 4 play. Like, wow, there's so many possibilities with that card. Really, really cool. So next up is Magistus Dragon Varum. So it's a level 8 Dragon Synchro Effect monster, fire attribute, 2500 attack, 2900 defense. It requires a tuner or any non-tuner monster, making it generic. You can use each of the effects among the first and third only once per turn. If this Synchro Summon card is destroyed, you can destroy all face-up cards your opponent controls. Well, that seems pretty good, although being destroyed, there's a lot of ways to bypass that now in modern Yu-Gi-Oh!, but sometimes you might just have to run into this, and hand, that's a pretty good payoff. Secondly, if a monster equipped with this card cannot be destroyed by an opponent's spell and trap effect. So this is cool. Again, this is where the whole equipping aspect comes in. So if you look at like Master and Dimian can equip a monster with this, and then it's no longer able to be destroyed by opponent's spell and trap effects. Again, it is easy to dodge this type of effect because it only says destroyed. I wish it just said unaffected, but that might have been a little bit too broken. Thirdly, if a monster equipped with this card battles an opponent's monster, at the start of the damage step, you can destroy that opponent's monster. So this is pretty cool. I mean, just having a way to easily take care of your opponent's monsters, but again, it does have to be in the battle phase, but really neat card design all around. And again, because you're going to be equipping it a lot of the time, you're going to get that value of having some of your monsters with protection, but a pretty good generic 8 all around. At the very least, any deck can just play this as a Synchro 8 and can just destroy all face-up cards your opponent controls if this card were to be destroyed. So that in and of itself is like good enough for some decks. Moving on along, though, we have a rank 4 Xyz monster, Magistus Goddess Ninaruru. So it's a rank 4 Earth Rock, Xyz effect monster, 1800 attack, 2400 defense, and it requires 2 level 4 Spellcaster monsters. Oh, thank God. Okay, no more Adamancipator support. You can use each effect among the first and third with this card's name once per turn. You can detach a material from this card, then target 1 level 4 higher Spellcaster monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. So that's cool. You get to recur for any of your monsters in the archetype. Second, a monster equipped with this card can make 2 attacks on monsters during each battle phase. I wish it just said it could attack twice. I mean, like, I feel like 2 attacks on monsters is just so hindering, but I guess they have to have some balance, whatever. Third effect, if this card is currently equipped to a monster, you can target 1 Magistus card in your spell and trap zone, and 1 spell trap your opponent controls, destroy them. Now, again, unless the Magistus spells and traps have some sort of synergy from being destroyed, it kind of sucks that you have to, like, 1-for-1 it with your opponents, but it's cool that you do have some sort of spell and trap removal. Again, I wish this was a quick effect. Like the other card, the fusion monster, was a quick effect, so why couldn't have this been a quick effect too? But we'll see what else we got here. And then we have a Link monster, Magistus Maiden Artemis. So it's a Link 1, that's going to be good, light spellcaster Link effect monster with 800 attack, and the arrow points straight up, so towards your opponent. So it requires 1 level 4 lower spellcaster monster. It's cool that it's not Magistus, so you could use potentially other spellcasters, like maybe Spellbook Blue Boy, different things like that. You can special summon this card only once per turn. You can use each effect among the first and second only once per turn. The first effect, if another Magistus monster is normal or special summoned while this card is already in a monster zone, you can target one of those monsters, equip this card you control to that target. Okay, if this card is currently equipped to a monster, you can add 1 Magistus monster from your deck to your hand. That's really good. So basically, this is like your Rhoda for the deck. So you take any of your monsters, you link into this, and then you are able to then special summon like the the guy who looks like baby Alistair, the first card we talked about, and then you can trigger the effect and search for any of your Magistus cards in your deck. So that's pretty cool. Or excuse me, Magistus monsters. It's only monsters, it's not cards, but that's still a pretty good way. I mean, that reminds me a lot of the Crusadia Link one that allows you to start just getting your engine going. So that's pretty neat. Let's go ahead and move on to the spells, though. We have a continuous spell, Trice Magistus. So it is, like I said, a continuous spell. You can only use 1 effect among the second and third effects per turn and only once that turn. So the first effect, the first time each Magistus monster you control will be destroyed by battle each turn while it is equipped with an equipped card, it is not destroyed. Okay. Second effect, during your main phase, you can special summon 1 level 4 spellcaster monster from your hand. That's really good. That allows you to enable some of the other plays of some of these cards we've already seen. Also, it's any level 4 spellcaster. It's not a Magistus monster specifically. Third, if this face-up card is sent from the spell and trap zone to the graveyard, here we go. You can special summon any number of Magistus monsters with different names from your hand. Okay, that's a really good payoff. So if your hand just has a ton of these monsters, if you have a way to pop this card, which there's plenty of ways to do so, it seems. We've gone through, I think, 3 cards that have popping capabilities. Then you can just dump your whole hand of Magistus monsters on the field. Seems pretty cool. All right, we're going to move on now to a quick play spell, Theologia Magistus. So you can only activate 1 of this card's name per turn. Target 1 Magistus monster you control, equip 1 Magistus monster that is not level 4 from your extra deck, field, or graveyard to that target. Or if 1+ Magistus monsters from each monster card type among Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, and Link are all in your graveyard, you can instead equip 1 non-Magistus Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, or Link monster from your extra deck to that target. Okay, that's a mouthful. So target a Magistus monster you control, equip a Magistus monster that is not level 4 from your extra deck, field, or graveyard to that target. And then if a Magistus monster has a Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, and Link are all in the graveyard, you can equip a non-Magistus fusion to your extra deck to that target. Interesting. Okay, so you do have to go through some hoops to get there, but I guess that does enable some sort of capabilities. That oddly enough has synergy with Dogmatica, because you can use stuff like Nadir's Servant or the guy that sends 2 cards to the graveyard to like load up. So that's kind of interesting for sure. Again, like if you're really trying to like turbocharge it, that is. Okay, that's an interesting one. Next up is Magisist Invocation. Oh god, anytime something's called Invocation, that has me worried. Normal spell, you can only activate it once per turn. That's at least a relief. Fusion summon a fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field, including a spellcaster monster as material. If summoning a Magistus fusion monster this way, you can also use monsters in your spell and trap zone that are equipped to Magistus monsters you control as fusion material. So that's pretty cool. I guess it does synergize with this quick play here, because then if a card were to like fall off and then it hits the graveyard and has some sort of trigger, then you're getting like added value off of the Magistus Invocation. So that's pretty neat. The fact that it allows you to fusion with cards that are equipped, and there's so many ways to equip the monsters, that really cool benefit there. All right, moving on, we have VRitra Majestis. I probably completely butchered that name, but it's a normal spell. You can use each of the following among the first and second with this card's name per turn. So, target a level 4 lower Magistus monster in your graveyard, special summon it. All right, it's a little monster reborn. That's a hard once per turn. Sounds good. If a Magistus card in your spell and trap zone would be destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. So, again, it has some protection for these equipped cards, and I think that's pretty good considering, like, with the fusion guy especially, you really want to protect that so you can keep your opponent's monsters. But overall, just being able to resurrect one of your Magistus cards seems pretty strong. And then last but not least, we can't forget about this. We have Magistus Flame Zoroa. So it is a fire spellcaster tuner effect monster. Level 4, attack and defense are both 1500. You can only use each of the first and second effects of this card's name once per turn. You can target a Magistus monster you control, equip one Magistus monster from your extra deck to it. So that's pretty cool. It can target itself. It doesn't have to be another monster, so it allows you to just easily have access to all those different effects. Then also, if this card becomes equipped with a Magistus monster card, which the first effect help triggers, you can special summon a level 4 spellcaster monster from your hand or graveyard, except Magistus Flame Zoroa, but negate its effects. I forget if I mentioned earlier, but it is a tuner, which is very important. So by being a tuner and you're able to get back any of your level 4s, you can then go and then get the Synchro level 8 almost immediately and just have a 1-card Synchro 8, assuming you have one of those other monsters in the graveyard. So there are some pretty neat combos to be had here, and this was a card that was announced a little bit after we got the initial wave of these cards, so pretty cool card for the archetype. It's a very interesting and unique archetype, that's for sure. There's definitely a lot of spellcaster synergy to be had here, and I'm really curious like what the other shell is going to be that really kind of supports these cards properly. Like, honestly, Invoked could probably synergize with this deck no problem, and it would be pretty decent. I'm really interested in the fusion monster the most. I think that was the card that kind of really sold me on this archetype, but a lot of these cards have like a ton of text, but I'm not sure if they really do enough. You know what I mean? We've seen this time and time again where these cards just have all these different effects, but like, are they really good enough? That's what the question really becomes, and I'm not too sure where it stands right now. There again, because you have so many different spellcaster type strategies and synergies, Invoked is the one that comes to mind the quickest, just because it's one of the strongest ones we have. It's so splashable because it doesn't preclude you from like playing other archetypes. The fact that you have like attributal changing synergies to kind of synergize with your other Invoked fusion monsters to make going into those a bit easier. Not that you have to a lot of the time. Usually Mechaba is good enough, but it's definitely interesting for sure. They also cover all their bases with like the good attributes as well. So, I mean, we'll just have to see. I'm really curious to see what direction this archetype goes. As for how good it is, it's kind of really hard to tell. We're really going to just have to see how people experiment with this, but I'm really excited to see where people go with it, and who knows? That fusion monster just seems way too good to me. So, guys, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for this video. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about the Magistus archetype. I'd really love to hear your thoughts. and please point out any synergies that I may have missed, because I'm sure I did. It's a brand new archetype, and I'm really excited to see how people explore it. So guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Be sure to like the video as always, subscribe to the channel for more amazing Yu-Gi-Oh content, and if you found this video informative, consider supporting me on Patreon or becoming a YouTube channel member. Just by showing your support in any way that you can, you're investing in my ability to continue bringing you amazing Yu-Gi-Oh content. So thanks so much again, and we'll see you next time.